Hello and welcome back to Canadian Disc Golf Production. I am Chris Brown.
And I am Galen Naidu-Harris. Nice to be back.
Perfect. This is the back nine of the second round of the Riverside Rumble Round 2.
Oh, there's another mouthful, and hey, it's the last time you're going to have to say it until this time next year.
And then
you'll be saying
round
Riverside
3.
Rumble Round 3.
It'll be exciting.
We're back in beautiful Belleville. Thanks to all of our sponsors for making this tournament happen.
Beautiful day they got, eh?
Yeah, looked a little blustery, but like gorgeous as far as how it looks and how the temperature must have been. So now that we're heading into the final 9, we want to just touch quickly again on the OCC tour. So just worth a reminder for the audience that whoever finishes first here, if they haven't already, will be able to qualify for the provincial championships coming up in a couple of weeks. And if the person who finishes first has already qualified or is not ODSA current, that'll slide to whoever finishes second. So I'm not sure how Thomas and Chris and Greg are sitting right now and if they've qualified, if they want to play provincials, but there is that spot on the line too. So a little extra pressure today as we move on to hole 10.
Cool. So hole 10, the back nine, the final stretch to determine our Riverside Rumble Round 2 winner. Thomas to tee off first with the lead.
Rumble in the very not jungle. Oh,
Thomas
going
roller. I was looking at this play. That one looked too turned over, but safe nevertheless. Honestly, a great kick off the tree. I'll give him an easy up shot.
Oh, wow,
easy up and down par. And he even had the chance for the 2, but as you see, as the tumble bag rolls away,
knowing
there
how
is a headwind.
Yeah, knowing how strong his forehand game is, I was wondering if we might not see a power forehand out of Thomas. But I like the roller play too.
Yeah, the forehand would have been great, but 435 with a low ceiling into a headwind.
Easy money, Chris.
You're right. You know what? Yeah. Thomas, what are you doing? So he played this way in the first round, and I was wondering if it was a bit of a shank, but looks like he's just taking it out high, right around the trees, giving himself the easy up shot.
Yep. Giving himself an easy 3 on a hole where I think probably just about everybody's going to take a 3 or higher. I don't really see any 2s coming to play here.
No, we didn't have a single 2 in the first round. This one is not flipping enough. It's going to be down there, though. Hopefully he didn't make it.
I think that's going to be out of bounds, but gets it way down there.
Yeah, that's tough, though, because realistically, you don't need to push anything for the 2 here, so that's a mistake from Gigi.
Yeah, and also, I mean, looking at where they're sitting, he doesn't want to be giving up strokes to Thomas right now. He wants to try and take a few back.
Ooh.
A little bit of an unfortunate kick there, but Chris, I think, stays in position for a look, at least.
Yeah, no 2-meter rule in this tournament, from what I'm aware of.
I thought he came down. Well, maybe that's Greg there. Well, that's Greg there.
Not all tall people look the same.
Yeah. I normally just walk past him and say, "How's the weather up there?" Well, they're all the same to me.
No, that's good.
Still in the tree. I shouldn't be so discriminatory.
Oh my goodness.
I could never dream of jumping to catch that disc.
I was like 3 feet off the ground. That would hurt something.
Yeah, I would have hurt several somethings.
Being a good volleyball player has its perks, I guess.
I guess so.
Oh,
and,
what a putt!
One of them is good putting, apparently.
Must be, yeah. Well,
must be.
When you're putting from above the basket every time, it must be easy.
Yeah, just drop it down and in.
Ooh.
Thomas sort of Tony Hawk's around the outside there. Waves sadly to his fans, but waves nonetheless.
Gigi tapping in his bogey, unfortunately, after going OB on his drive. And then a couple pars. And that hole there is difficult. Look at the wasp nest.
And you got to dodge a wasp nest. Come on, man.
That is
uncalled for.
That looked dormant, though. It might have been cold enough that no more wasps were coming out.
Hopefully. There's enough crap to deal with on this course already. not that the course is crappy. I love the course, but challenging. The last thing you need is to avoid wasps too. And now on to hole 11, 229 feet. Standard play looks to be up the left side, certainly the way I would be drawing it up. Forehand hyzer if you have it, turnover backhand if you don't. You could also go low and to the right like Greg did, but I think going up the left with something that wants to move from the left side to the right side will be more standard.
From what I understand, this hole, after finishing hole 10, you have to go for a hike. Bring
a bit of a walk.
Yeah, bring your trail mix, change into hiking shoes, get moving.
Tom spikes in nicely inside the bullseye.
That's great. We didn't see a very good performance from the entire field on the first round.
Yeah, nice to see if they can turn that around a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe just some adjustment between rounds and trying to keep it out farther to outside, and not trying to be as safe.
Yeah, I'm curious if we see Greg try that same play of taking it low and to the right, because he's got a good anhyzer, like a good turnover backhand, and I would have thought he would go to that. Obviously, the standard play, the obvious play is the forehand, but he's one of those players that can make a forehand-shaped backhand work.
Not wrong. That looks very high.
It does. I think it's going to come in nicely.
Tough to say. I saw it come down, but I don't know exactly.
I'm calling it at 3.7 feet.
And we're getting a plastic payback, so you might be right. Look at this. Slow motion. And Maddle? No.
Oh, that's like 1.7. I was way off.
Yeah.
Great.
Price is right rules here.
Yeah. It was a great drive, though. However many 0.7 feet away it was. No, Greg looking at the same line. Oh, maybe looking a little higher. Is that just in my head there?
That's totally in your head.
That's
that would be a big throw.
Well, he does have it.
And gets that slightly overstable disc on a gentle hyzer right up into the into circle one.
I was wondering where he was going to find a path. That was perfect. So 3 throws well within the circle.
Oh, dead centered.
Yeah, Thomas doesn't even think about missing that putt.
Not a gimme with the wind, but still close enough for GG's range.
Yeah, one where I'd expect him to hit, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. Just far enough, just windy enough. But he does connect. You'd love to see it.
Putting with some extra pace today, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like whenever I've played with him, his putts have a fair bit of pace already, but it seems like there's even a little bit more pop on him.
Yeah, maybe just because of the wind, trying to fight it, make sure it doesn't manipulate his disc at all.
Yep, makes sense.
That hole 11 was one of the easier holes of the round with 4 birdies.
Ooh, 4 or 6. Yeah, it sounds about right given how it's drawn up. Still a great result.
Hole 259. Sorry, hole 12.
Hole 259. That's been a long day.
Playing a lot. This one here is interesting because it's hard to get parked. You can put yourself in the mouth, and this wind is not going to help the case.
No.
You can put yourself in the mouth, but then you got to make a 35-foot putt just to get a chance at it too.
Yeah, I think this is the one we were talking about last round. We were saying, I would expect there to be a lot of long looks at a 2, and it just depends how the putter's putting for those guys today.
That looks wide. I think Thomas is trying to punch the trees, and the wind just never gave him the opportunity.
Yeah, the wind is punching back. It is definitely a rumble on the Riverside today.
I like the way they did their tee pads too. It looks like a wood frame.
Yeah, squared off
top.
wood frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say turf is, I think for me, probably by far my favorite tee pad.
Yes. That looks perfect. I think he's got that inside the gap. Gonna have that 35-foot.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have that look we were talking about for sure.
Oh, Gigi early releasing that a bit, or maybe he's just going for the early gap and he hits it perfectly.
Just perfect releasing it.
Yeah, that may have been perfect releasing.
Yeah, as soon as he let it go, I was like, oh no, and then it was just perfect. Well, perfect, but very good.
Thomas looking to that wasp nest.
Puts it over the top. Sort of reminds me of some of the approaches on Bronte hole 16 to yellow. Wow, puts it in perfect. Just pops it over the top, drops it in.
Yeah. Get it up and hope the Plinko works in your favor.
Get it up. Hope it goes over.
It's actually pretty close. It's I know it's still outside circle, but probably the closest putt we've seen so far, and we know Gigi's closer. Oh,
Wow.
off the top.
Gigi with an awkward look, though.
He is closer, but that is by no means better. It looks like he's thinking about a spot.
Like trying to find a spot he can punch through.
Yeah. Like he's not just pitching it under the ground at the basket, because he knows he's got 6-ish holes left, and he's got to make up 5 strokes. So he knows he needs to birdie everything.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that would have been for the only birdie on the weekend.
Man, wow, no birdies on the whole weekend.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought there'd be many, but I figured 2, 3, maybe.
Yeah, somebody.
Something. Tricky.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like it's not like you have some dense woods to keep your disc, so you can run it. If you hit it, it keeps you on it. Those are the type of trees that you hit them. You're going in a couple feet, 5 feet, and you have no way of getting back out.
Yeah, and just see you later.
The island hole.
And our another cameo from that walker there, who was we saw in the first round too.
So you have to cross the road onto the grass. The more aggressive you get, the closer you can get for your birdie. But if you need to play it safe, just chipping something across the road and being in bounds is not a bad play.
No.
Thomas gets over on this, but that thing was overstable.
Sure was. And
takes a huge skip.
Wow. Yeah, and skips in nicely. A little road rash on that one, maybe, though.
We saw Gigi round 1 catch one of the hydro poles coming across, so there's definitely some obstacles in the way that don't make it just a standard 350-foot throw.
Yeah, which, I mean, for you guys, maybe not that bad, but 350 onto a modified island, even with no wind, is not an easy throw.
Yeah, and there's no skipping this up the hill. You're not skipping it off the road and getting parked. You have to land it at the basket to be parked, or else you're putting all the way up that hill.
Yeah, 100%.
GG makes the correction. This looks like the exact same shot. Misses the pole this time.
Ooh. Oh no, keep skipping. I thought that was going to be just perfect, but flashes the chains and skips all the way across back to the drop zone like round 1.
And then a carbon copy drop zone. We could have cut the first round in there and it would have looked exactly the same.
Yeah. And he's played well today, and just a couple unfortunate breaks here and there. I don't want to say definitively, but it feels like the door is definitely closing on Gigi. Takes a bogey there, puts him behind both players by 5 and 6 strokes. So.
Especially with Chris just making that big putt, and then Thomas also having this opportunity at the 2. He misses one. He seems okay with it because obviously it's a death putt.
Chris takes one back.
Okay, so now we're getting into a game. It's going to be...
I think it's just 1 stroke between Chris and Thomas now.
Yeah.
And going to be battling it out for 5 more holes.
That's exciting because he had a quite a stroke lead coming in into the back 9 here.
Yeah. Was Chris not 3rd place on the card to start the second round as well? I thought Double G was ahead of him to start.
They were both. They were both 2 down.
Both 2 down.
Thomas was 4. GG.
Either way, we're starting to see some separation anyway.
Yes.
And Chris and Thomas both playing very well.
Oh, as Chris goes forehand and throws it OB.
Wow, and maybe loses that. Not quite. It's maybe loses that disc, but yeah. Speaking of unforced errors, that's unfortunate. This is not a hole where I would expect many players to go OB.
Well, yeah. 357 feet with a tight green. I would expect more often than not, but he could have...
I'm just thinking easy to throw it the way Thomas is, nice and wide, and take that stuff out of play.
Yeah, that's
obviously Thomas executes great, but I don't think it's super hard to take, 300 feet on a forehand and not go near that, so it's unfortunate.
As I said...
But still, 5 holes,
yeah,
1 stroke.
Chris Towe is a very good forehand, but I wouldn't say he's known for it, so... It's just one of those things that just got away from him a little bit there, and he's going to be kicking himself for that one because he was right there.
I think if Double G even puts that 6 to 10 feet higher up, he gets all the way there. I like that shot shape a lot. There's lots of pace on it. Almost wobbles it in for 2, but just short.
Oh, he's not OB. That's not OB at all, eh?
Interesting. I would have thought it'd be pathing over, but Path must be playing as a river, and he didn't go into the actual river, so...
Oh, well, that's perfect.
Comes up safe.
Okay, so he's not really losing any strokes here.
No, doesn't lose a thing. Which, no disrespect to anybody who's in contention, but, like, better for the drama, for sure.
Yeah.
We don't want to see more score separation the few holes less. Nice to see them duke it out.
Well, that makes this hole a little bit easier, coming down into the basket like that.
Well, it's a pretty narrow strip there, though. I mean, he landed really in, like, the only spot out on the other side of that path that was safe, because it immediately turns into actual river, so it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but doesn't open much up. And now hole 15, we're looking at 365 feet. Slightly downhill, I think, off the tee.
Yeah, this one here,
It's just a tickle. Yeah. Just barely. Looks like Chris is looking at a high hyzer line there, unless I'm mistaken. Yep.
Wow, that's
launches
so,
it.
That's
so much power.
Wonder where that disc is gonna go. And this, that's got to be in the trees there. The wind just took it.
Yep. Looks like Thomas is thinking forehand roller.
I can see the play working. That
I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's as long as it gets it down going to the right and doesn't burn it over early. Yeah, so that's going to go to the right, and then if it stands up, optimal. If it doesn't, honestly, he's in easy
Still
layup
totally
free zone.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't hate that play.
I don't remember what Greg threw last time. I wonder if we don't see him go. No, it doesn't look like he's looking high, but I was wondering about maybe him going just sort of high, relatively neutral over the top of everything and letting it drop, but it looks like he's looking low.
Yeah, it's just far, and this is a
sure.
This is a textbook GG throw here, just a low hyzer flipping shot.
Yeah, he's got that Calvin Heimberg, like just slapping something that'll stay low and go straight forever.
Chris having to go to the forehand roller out, that's never good when you're in the bushes like this.
No, it's not.
Did he make it?
Fully commits, and he does make it out.
There you go. He's got a chance to make that. Keep it close.
Looks like it's going to be a challenge, but he's got something. Greg just pitches up.
That's not the putt you want on this slightly elevated basket.
No, still a little bit of work left, unfortunately.
Thomas just needs to lay this up nice and close, and I would say that's close enough for Thomas.
Yep, jump putt layup to 12 feet. Chris gives us a bit of a bid, but smartly doesn't put so much pace on it. He's going to have a tricky comebacker.
Yeah, I don't know if he may have needed to run that a little more aggressively just to keep pace and put some pressure on Thomas. With Thomas going to his 2-stroke lead with 3 holes to go, it's going to be tough to push, but I understand it. It's windy, and that's in a very elevated basket.
Yeah. Well, and it's an interesting dynamic, too, because looking at our standings here, like nobody on the chase card is close. So, yeah, you wonder if it might be worth taking more of a healthy run at it just because it's really only him and Thomas at this point.
Fair. And Thomas just barely gets that over the cage.
Yeah.
But it's in. That's a great 3 from Thomas, a great 3 from Gigi with that big putt.
Yeah.
And,
hey, no pictures in the scorecard. Putt went in.
And Chris gets the 4 after getting his spike hyzer kind of away from him. And then we're here. We have hole 16. If I remember correctly, this one here is just about getting distance off the tee. It doesn't really matter where you are. It's about making that second shot count.
Yeah, just stay off the path. Give yourself an upshot of some.
Yeah.
Ooh, Thomas goes high.
That's
is that
a roller.
A roller intentional?
Oh,
stop doing things.
No.
Oh, and it cuts bad.
He was going for it.
I was trying to figure out if that was supposed to be a big Annie or roller. I think that was going to be a
roller.
big roller, right?
I think that he was going roller off this. That would be a way to get yourself the 2 on this one. But
with that low ceiling.
With Thomas having a 2-stroke lead over Chris, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was really necessary, but
well, and I'm also thinking, like, knowing Thomas's game, I wouldn't mind a big forehand from him because he has one.
Sure,
just
yeah.
put it up the left side and let it fade out like Chris is doing here.
Chris committed to the width on this one. He didn't do so much on the first round, but that is perfect.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, just keep it safe. And I mean, at this point, I think with a two-stroke lead, you're just looking to play defense, at least to a certain extent. So keep yourself in bounds and let Chris push things and take difficult shots.
As Thomas just drops his third shot after the OB into a tree, so he probably not taking a 4 here, so a bogey at best.
Yeah, and Double G's got a little bit of a tricky lie here too with that tree right there and low ceiling with the branches.
Yeah, it's not unlike GG to
gets away with it. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, if there's anybody that's gonna be fine with a low ceiling, it's him, as we've seen several times, I think, in this coverage.
That was. Gigi would call that lucky, but it was well executed. He didn't have much of a line, and he made it look easy.
Well, and it's just about shrinking your misses too, right? I mean, if you hit your line like 90 to 95% accurate, you still have the capacity to like tickle some branches sometimes, or to take a little kiss off a light pole or something. And that was a good line that just wasn't quite as tight as he would like, but because of how good he is, the miss was still really solid.
Wow.
Oh my God, I didn't think he was going to give it a run from back there.
Yeah, that was incredible from that distance off a knee to just sort of wrist something into the band there.
Yeah, tough to get enough torque to get a disc just to the basket alone.
Ooh, as Chris
Chris
sneaks that over, but hey, it's in.
Yeah.
So that's a 3 for Chris, and this is going to be a tap in 5.
Wow, so yeah, two-stroke swing heading into the second last hole.
And that makes it tied.
Tied heading into 17.
That's exciting.
That's pretty huge. Yeah, no shade against Thomas or Chris at all, certainly. But I mean, like
they're talking about his from the chest wrist putt.
You kind of like the chaos, though. You want to have it be close for the last two holes. So I don't mind as much as I love Thomas, and I want to see him do good things in life. To have a tie heading into 17, that's fun. That's good golf.
So hole 17, we talked about this last hole. It's tight. It's very tight. The optimal play is a flex forehand. GG plays this hyzer flip up straight shot that this is the second time in a row he's come up short right. So
yeah, and as we know, he doesn't throw many forehands, and if you don't, there's sort of two plays. There's a slow turning backhand that starts up the left side, or there's just a straight backhand up the right side, which is what he went for. But if you have it, the obvious play is a forehand flex. That one just comes out a little early with that beautiful Dot Space Athletics ethos omen, but doesn't quite get enough power to get all the way there. That's the right shot shape, though.
Squirrel's making his appearance. Just
squirrely shot, squirrely squirrel.
This looks fantastic from Thomas redeeming himself in the last hole.
That looks really good. Yeah. Oh wow, a little short, I guess. Or is that a little
short?
long? Little long.
Yeah, he's got too much power. Yeah. This is why we were saying on the last hole, surprised he just didn't go with the forehand, but
for sure. Yeah, and I guess, we'll see what he has up there. It's one of those ones that, he's probably within 12 feet, I would say, of the basket, but he might not have much of a line.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight.
Yeah, and Chris having the same problem, yeah.
But you gotta stick to your game plan, and this is the way they play the hole, and it's how they practice it. So
yeah, no, stick with it. Makes sense.
He's got something.
No, I can see that face. He doesn't feel happy with whatever might be there anyway.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe he tries to punch through. This is something where I don't think it hurts to give it a bit of a bid, given that you're neck and neck heading into hole 18. Like I don't really see him running this and having an insane amount of difficulty with a comebacker. If he can find some window to give it like a forehand flick or something, but I guess he just didn't have anything.
Yeah, it looked dense. So happy to get up for the tap in. Keep the push alive. You got one more hole to make things happen, plus potentially a playoff.
Maybe a playoff. Yeah, but it's easy from the booth to say try and find something, but
why don't you just make the putts
dense? Guys? Yeah, why don't you just putt better?
Yeah, just put it in the basket. It's simple.
Speaking of somebody that missed probably like 3 15-footers today around at Camwile, but whatever.
Hole 18 to finish off the tournament, the Riverside Rumble Round 2, Round 2, back 9.
Round two. And I kind of love that it's on the Riverside for the last hole. It feels very appropriate.
That is good, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting hole for there to be a tie going in, because it's as we were saying last round, like it is placement. You don't have to have some insane, stupid power or hit a really weird technical line, but you have to place really well twice in a row.
As Gigi has done that, I'd say.
Yeah, Gigi's in a great spot, but certainly an interesting place to have some drama.
I wish there was a way to attack this hole so that if somebody was behind, they could go for the gutsy too. But you know what, playing for perfection is also good too.
Well, and 456 feet, it's tough to attack given what you have to work with.
Thomas puts this out wide. He might be going for a little bit extra to make the upshot easier.
Yeah. And, I wouldn't say advantage to either of them. I think, obviously, Thomas, based on the fact that Chris is throwing, is a few feet further up, but neither of them have an easy shot. And Chris puts the pressure on.
That's an amazing shot over the fence there.
3 feet. That is every bit of accuracy and power you want there. That's awesome.
Gigi took the hyzer route last time. I don't think he has it this close to the fence, so he has to go flex shot.
And, if we're thinking about placement, nobody on Chase Card is close, so he's got strokes to work with. It's not going to hurt him too bad to have that come out that way. But, yeah, you obviously wish that it kept holding for him.
Yeah, I don't know if there was some wind out there. It's rare to see Gigi not be able to hold an angle.
Agreed. And Thomas electing to go hyzer instead of forehand. I'm kind of surprised by his lack of a forehand on 2 holes today that seem as if they would draw up for him.
Yeah, it's
pretty well.
Probably is a bit of a wind. My guess if he was taking
good point. He's good at shot selection, and this is not an easy putt.
And he needs to make this because Chris is parked and they are tied.
Yeah,
looks good.
Oh man.
Oh no, that was the right height, right power. Just didn't want to catch right hand side. I think.
And you just see those bushes and trees sort of blustering behind. I wonder how much of a factor that played. But the release looked great.
Gigi comes up a little short.
Yeah, and again, Gigi, he's got strokes to play with before the next person behind him. So it's you don't have to pay too close of attention to, do you finish whatever, 4 down or 3 down or 2 down. But yeah, still.
Thomas taps in his par to finish 8 down.
Yeah, 8 down, very respectable. Just I'm sure he wishes that last putt would have gone his way. And Chris celebrating as he should, a fantastic win.
And yeah, congratulations, that was fantastic. Good to watch you play. See what you got to say.
All right. Happy to say I got my first MPO win, so that was a cool experience. It was a great battle between myself and Tom coming right down to the end there, and being newer to disc golf, that was cool to be in a high tense situation coming into the last hole, tied with Thomas. So shout out to him, playing awesome all weekend. Awesome tournament run by the Riverside Rumble, and thank you to the TDs and everyone involved. Put on a great event. Yeah, it was a great weekend all around. A little windy, but everyone battled, and it made for some interesting and fun holes, and got a cool robe and for the Rumble.
Congrats again to Chris. I love the continuing trend of having disc golf trophies be like things you might find in your uncle's garage, like an old boxing robe. But a great day of disc golf, a great course, and I think this is just reaffirmed for me. I have to get out there because this looks awesome.
That was something else. That was a cool trophy. Great play from Chris. Great play from Thomas. Gigi was there too. Not his best day, but he's a competitor all the time. So congrats to him. Thank you to our sponsors. I am Chris Brown.
I'm Galen Nadu Harris. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you on the next tournament.